The iPhone 17 Pro is shaping up to be one of the most talked about phones of the year, and the latest leak points to a design decision that could completely change how the device looks and feels. According to newly leaked images, Apple seems to be moving away from titanium and going back to aluminum, which could mean the return of metal back phones after almost a decade. The iPhone 17 series is expected to launch on September 9th, and while we've already seen plenty of rumors, this new information comes from a reliable supply chain insider on the Korean website Naver. The leaker, known as UX1122, shared photos showing what appears to be the aluminum chassis of the iPhone 17 Pro. These images back up earlier reports that titanium won't be used on the Pro model this year. What makes these images more interesting is the design itself. The chassis seems to wrap around the back of the phone, with precise cutouts for the cameras and for the MagSafe wireless charging coils. This suggests Apple may be trying a new approach, possibly coating the aluminum or using a different finish instead of the familiar glass back. If true, this would be a major shift, as iPhones have followed the glass sandwich design for more than 10 years. The last iPhone with a full metal back was the iPhone 7 series, released in 2016. Since then, every flagship iPhone has used glass, mainly to support wireless charging. If Apple really is going back to aluminum, it would be a big change for the Pro models, but at the same time, the leaked photos could also be dummy units or molds used for case makers. So while the evidence is exciting, it's still worth keeping some caution until the official reveal. Speaking of the reveal, Apple hasn't yet confirmed the exact launch date, but if history repeats itself, we should see the iPhone 17 series. Announced on September 9th, pre-orders would likely begin on September 12th, with the phones hitting the market on September 19th. Now, let's take a closer look at the pros and cons of going back to a metal back design. One of the main downsides of using aluminum is interference with wireless charging. That's the biggest reason companies shifted away from metal backs in the first place. But this doesn't mean wireless charging is impossible. For example, Google managed to make it work on the Pixel 5 by cutting out a section of the aluminum chassis and covering it with a polymer. Apple could use a similar method with the iPhone 17 Pro, especially since the leaked photos show space for MagSafe coils. Another concern with aluminum is bending. Many still remember the bendgate issue with the iPhone 6 Plus, where users complained that the phone was too easy to bend under pressure. However, modern aluminum alloys are much stronger, and Apple could use aviation-grade aluminum to prevent history from repeating itself. Aluminum also costs more than glass, so building an entire unibody chassis from it would add to the production cost. On top of that, depending on the thickness and design, aluminum can sometimes make devices heavier than glass. These are factors Apple would have to balance when finalizing the design. But aluminum also brings several benefits. Unlike glass, it doesn't shatter when dropped. Yes, it might scratch or dent, but the damage is far less severe compared to cracked glass backs, which can be costly to repair. For many users, that's a huge advantage. Another benefit is the feel in hand. Metal often feels more solid and premium compared to thin glass, which can sometimes feel plasticky. Many people who owned older iPhones with metal backs still say they prefer the sturdier feel of those devices. There's also a technical advantage. Aluminum is an excellent conductor of heat, which means it could help manage the phone's temperature. A properly designed aluminum back could act as a heat sink, spreading heat away from the processor during heavy use. Of course, if this isn't handled well, it could backfire and make the phone uncomfortably hot. But if Apple pulls it off, it could improve performance and thermal management compared to glass designs. So what does all this mean for the iPhone 17 Pro? If these leaks are accurate, we might be looking at Apple's first metal back iPhone in nearly 10 years. That's a bold move and one that would definitely set the Pro model apart. The real question is whether fans will welcome this change. Recent polls show mixed opinions. Around 59% of people say they miss metal back phones and would love to see them return. About 25% say it depends on the final design, while 14% still prefer glass. This shows that while many are excited, there's still a good portion of users who want Apple to stick with glass. In the end, the iPhone 17 Pro might represent a new chapter in Apple's design philosophy. Whether it turns out to be a full return to metal or a hybrid approach, it's clear that Apple is experimenting with different ideas again. With the official launch less than a month away, it won't be long before we find out if these leaks are true. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tech updates. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Peace out.